Hello friends, a big loving welcome to our very own channel, Ammu&You. I've become a universal Ammu now who just loves narrating stories. I love reading them and I love telling them. Stories are an integral part of our lives if we want them to be. And many writers, authors, they write from their memoirs, from their memories of the childhood, of their growing up, youth, and all of this is what they have taken as learning in their lives. One such author is the very popular and amazing person, Sudha Murthy. She is such a grounded person who, with all her capabilities, efficiencies, qualifications, has never let her feet fly up or leave the ground. She has always spoken about the things that she has learned from her childhood, from her family. And here today, the story that I have for you is Horegallu by Sudha Murthy, where she talks about what she has learned from her grandfather and the Horegallu that they had in their village. What is a Horegallu? A little stone bench under a banyan tree in a village in Karnataka, where the author grew up, is the perfect place for travelers to rest and forget their burdens for a while. As they chat with the man sitting there, patiently listening to them. A better counselor than one can find anywhere in the city. So a Horegallu is a stone bench where the tired travelers would just come and rest for a while. And the author, the narrator of the story, speaks of the Horegallu in her village, the impact of it on her life, and what she learned from it. She says, hot summer days remind me of my childhood in a village in Karnataka. It was a beautiful village where people lived happily together. It was like a big family. There was a large banyan tree right in the middle of the village. And I would spend many hours playing under it during my holidays. Children those days loved to play outdoors, hanging from the trees, climbing the tree branches, plucking fruits, nestling there was a treat for any tired eyes. The tree was like a massive umbrella, with its branches providing much needed shade and succor. Travelers would spend some time sitting under it and catching their breath before going on their way. Those days, there was a lot of traveling as well, because the transport was not as good as today. People would go from one place to the other every day to work, and they would go by foot. So the travelers would cross through that village, and to make them comfortable there was a Horegallu under the tree, the big banyan tree. Horegallu literally means a stone that can bear weight. hear the weight of the people, the travelers, coming to sit there. And later in life, the author realizes that Horegallu was not only bearing the weight, the physical weight of the travelers, but all the weight of their hearts that they were pouring out there. It was a large flat stone placed horizontally over two vertical ones, thus making a stone bench on which anyone could sit and rest a while, chat with a fellow traveler, and exchange news on the road. Cool water would be kept in the earthen pots near the bench, and people would quench their thirst before starting their journeys again. It was so thoughtful of people those days to think of the travelers traveling such long distances, and that how thirsty they would become. And that was the reason that they would keep the earthen pots with water filled for them to quench their thirst. I am sure, says the narrator, similar simple arrangements can be found in villages all over the country. The Horegallu in our village holds special memories for me, as it is inextricably linked with my grandfather. My grandfather, who I loved dearly, was a retired school teacher and would spend hours every day sitting under the banyan tree and talking to those resting there. People would come, sit, go away, and grandfather would just spend hours sitting there talking to those people. The people would keep on changing, but grandfather would be permanently there, a constant person talking to them, listening to them. I would be playing with children all around. And when I would get tired of playing, I would sit next to him and observe the people he was speaking to and listen to their conversations. I found it very interesting to hear what they had to talk to. What I also found interesting was that how strangers, people just traveling, passing through the village, would sit and could talk so easily with each other. Most of them were villagers taking a break from their work in the fields nearby. And they had to walk long distances each day, carrying heavy burdens on their heads. Now walking and working the whole day in the heat, in the bright, hot sun, they would be tired out. They would sit there, drink the cool water from the earthen pots. And the earthen pots provided such cool water because they have this characteristic of cooling the water with the hot breeze blowing on it. People, the tired and thirsty people, would drink the cool water, wash their faces with it, and chat with the constant occupant of that Horegallu, my grandfather. Their conversation would be about their daily lives and worries. And I was really amazed at how simply they could talk about such simple things in life. Then, when I was small, I could not understand, but later, after I was a grown-up, and I would think about those conversations, I would marvel at the simplicity of the hearts of the people. The conversations would be like, Master Ji, this summer has been so very hot. I have never seen such dry weather. Or, Master Ji, it is really getting difficult for me to carry these large loads on my head. Thank God for this Horegallu. I wish my son would help. But God only knows why he only wants to go to the city. He just does not want to stay back in this village working with me, his own father. They spoke about the difficulties they lived with. They spoke about different things, about a good crop one year, not so good crop the other, an unmarried daughter for who probably they are looking out for a suitable boy, someone ill, inquiring of some hakim or Vedya, and all type of conversations revolving around the daily nitty-gritties of life. My grandfather could only listen to them, but just talking to him seemed to refresh them for the journey. For I would see the change that after pouring their hearts out, they would feel relieved, and after having drunk the cool water and washing their faces, they would say, So, Master Ji, I think I should go now. Bless the Horegallu and bless you for having it here. Saying this with a smile, they would just get up and walk ahead on the road to their work. They would just pick up their burdens with some ease, or rather, more ease than before, and go on their way. The Horegallu was an important feature in their lives. And as a child, I would often not understand why they blessed it so often. What was the need of them blessing the Horegallu? After all, it was just a stone bench. It was my grandfather who told me, Child, a Horegallu is essential in any journey. We all carry our burdens according to our situations and capacities, don't we? But every once in a while, we need to stop, put down that burden, and rest. Only then can we be refreshed enough to pick up the load once more. The Horegallu gives everyone that opportunity to do so. It helps people regain their strength. What a wonderful thought and what a beautiful explanation of a Horegallu. Each one of us is carrying the burden in our lives, burden of lives. Sometimes the burden gets a bit difficult to carry. And many a times, it transforms as a source of joy to us. During our difficult times, when our hearts and minds are tired, then a Horegallu, a place to rest and relieve our stress and worries by simply talking it out, sounds so refreshing and energizing. Later on in life, the narrator says, I got to see something that reminded me of that stone bench once again. I was then working in Bombay. Now it's named Mumbai. One of my colleagues, Ratna, was a senior clerk, middle-aged and always smiling. Her name brings her picture to my mind, a smiling, beaming face. It always is. She had done her graduation and been working in the company for nearly 25 years. She went about her repetitive, mundane work with an infectious cheerfulness. I never, ever saw her bored or tired of her work. Every day, I noticed during the lunch hour, she would sit with some person in one of the rooms and they would have long chats. I would often wonder what they talked about. One day, I finally asked her, Ratna, what do you talk with each person for the whole lunch hour? 1 full hour of talking every day with somebody or the other. What is it, Ratna, that you do? Ratna smiled and said simply, they share their troubles with me. But how can you solve the troubles of so many people? Do you always have an answer for them? No, I only listen. And that is enough. That solves the problem. I was young and incredulous at such a simplistic outlook. Just listening to problems would solve them, I thought. But Ratna answered with the same patience and affection that she must have used with all my colleagues. I am not a trained counselor or an intellectual for that matter. No one can solve your problem. You have to do it yourself. Then how do you help them? By listening to them? God has given me 2 years to listen to others. I hear them out with sympathy and without any judgment. When a person in trouble or under a lot of strain and stress finds an outlet for his worries, it relieves half his burden. His mind gets space, and that relieving of the burden retains some energy to think of a solution better. All the strain and all the worries that were stuffed in the mind was making the mind unable to function to its best. An outlet relieves it of that burden, and the functioning of the mind definitely becomes better. I thought for some time. I had never thought like this before because I had never heard of this before. Then I said, Ratna, but don't you ever break the confidence and tell others the secrets you hear, even by mistake? Like to share with someone or discuss it with somebody else? Not even in my dreams, said Ratna. I consider that to be the worst kind of betrayal that one can do. I don't think there is a greater sin than betraying someone's confidence, said that simple, cheerful Ratna. She continued, they tell me their worries because they know I will never talk about it or gossip about it to another person. Only when they know their words are secure with me can they talk to me freely. And then the outlet can really happen. They don't have to think and filter their thoughts while talking to me. And that is a big help for them. This way, I, said Ratna, relieve their burden for a short while till they are ready to pick themselves up and carry on with their journey of life. Each one of us just need rest, especially when we are overtired and can't carry on anymore. During that time, if we just have a place to let go of some of our worries, it becomes so much easier then to pick up our threads again neatly and try to arrange them better and solve the knots in our life. That is exactly what I do by listening to them. Her words uncannily echoed my grandfather's, sitting on the stone bench under the banyan tree. Perhaps in their own small ways, without access to any great wealth, both these people were doing tremendous service to the men around. No one thought of acknowledging their work or rewarding them for it, but they continued to do so, as these acts of kindness gave them joy. If ever now I happen to pass a Horegallu in a village, I remember them and wish there were many more of them in this world. Horegallu is so important in our lives. And how I wish each one of us gets a Horegallu to rest ourselves out, helping us to regain our energy, to carry on with life with full energy and joy. If we can be a Horegallu to others around us, I feel that nothing can be more satisfying than this. This is what maybe true friends are, which I very, very strongly believe. Wishing you all a Horegallu in your lives during the time of need, and wishing you too to be the provider of a Horegallu to all the needy people around you in your lives. I'm sure you liked the story, The Horegallu by Sudha Murthy. May I please remind you to like, share, subscribe to this so that the more and more people get access to this storytelling. And thank you for watching the story. Please wait till I come again with another story to narrate to you. Thank you, and wishing you a strong Horegallu in your life. Bye-bye.